Hello my loves, Toni here from TL Yarncrafts and welcome to this tutorial for the Primrose Tea Towel. My friends, the time has come for you to conquer your fear of crochet color work. Presenting the Primrose Tea Towel, a colorful kitchen towel that uses the inset mosaic technique. Now don't worry if you've never heard of that technique before, I hadn't either. But by using this technique, you achieve a dynamic motif pattern without all the roadblocks that traditional mosaic crochet presents. Colors are carried up the side of the work so you can save time weaving in ends and spend more time admiring your work. Customize your cloth by rearranging your colors and picking a different border color. I had a blast designing this pattern and I've got a feeling you're gonna love making it. Now let's stop wasting time and get started by walking through the necessary materials. To make the Primrose towel, you'll need just a few supplies, namely this lovely yarn. Today we're using Friends Cotton 8-4, and this is a fingering weight cotton, and we know that by the number 1 here, it says super fine, so that is fingering weight. It's a nice thin lightweight that makes a nice drapey towel. So we'll use 5 different colors, and after you make your first one, here are my recommendations for choosing colors for your next towel. Contrast is really the name of the game, and one of the easiest ways to build a palette for this is pick 2 coordinating colors, 2 coordinating solids, and 1 additional wild card. So something that is a little outside of this palette because this feels like it goes together really naturally and this really sets it off. And then just make sure you've got a good amount of contrast between all of these colors, and then you're going to get nice, bright, bold coloring and patterning inside of your project. You're going to need 1 of each of these colors to make your towel, and you'll have plenty left over to use for a future project. Outside of the yarn, we're also going to need a 3.25mm crochet hook, a nice tiny hook, a pair of scissors, and a tapestry needle. I would recommend also having some steam blocking supplies. That's going to help make sure you get some good drape, nice definition, and flat edges on your project. But you'll want to steam block this when this is all done, otherwise it's going to be a little stiff and wrinkly. All right, friends, it's time to dive in. So let's grab our hooks and our first color. Fingering weight yarn is a little tricky to see on camera, so for the sake of this tutorial, I will be using a heavier weight yarn as well as a larger hook, but you stick with the original materials, okay? So we'll begin with a slip knot, and we have to make a series of chains. You're gonna make 66 chains, but I'm gonna do a good bit less just because this is a demo. So after making my slip knot, I'm going to yarn over the hook and pull through the loop. There's 1, yarn over, pull through for 2, 3, 4, and so on. You'll keep going till you get 66, and I'll work to the smaller amount that I'm doing here for the demo. After we have the correct number of chains, we're meant to jump right into the chart. Now, if we look at row 1 of the chart, we just see a whole bunch of gray squares, and that essentially means that we'll single crochet across. So we're going to skip this very first chain, and starting in the second chain, we're going to place a single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. There's our single crochet. Again, insert into the stitch. So I'm just grabbing the top loop of that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you can insert anywhere you want into this chain, whatever floats your boat. If you want to grab the back bump, if you want to grab 2 bars of the stitch, you certainly can. Wherever you want to insert is fine. And we're just going to single crochet across. And that completes row 1, just a nice set of regular old single crochets. And then if we look at row 2, that also just has a bunch of gray squares, so we're just going to work single crochets across. So to start, we're going to yarn over, pull through 1, turn our work, and then we're going to insert under both loops of this next stitch here. Yarn over, pull up the loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both to complete the single crochet, and we'll do that all the way across the row. Meet me when you're just about done. We will need to change color and we'll move into our next row. I'm nearly across my row. I just have a couple single crochets left. Since we do have to change color, after I insert into my last single crochet, I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I'll have 2 loops left on my hook. I'm going to drop this color but leave it attached. We will need to go back to it. We're going to be changing color every 2 rows. So I've completed 2 rows in my first color. I'm going to yarn over with my new color and pull through. And now I'm set up to work with that new color, and my old color is going to hang out down here at the end of this row. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now, if you look at the chart for row 3, and every row always starts with a single crochet. So next we have a blank square. So that's just a regular single crochet. And after that, we have a circle. The little circle means to chain 2. So let's do that. Chain 2. And in this case, we're going to skip this next single crochet. So after that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open squares. So we're going to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we had the single crochet we started with, and to begin the repeat, we had an open square, which is a single crochet, a circle, which is a chain 2, skip 1, and then 5 more open squares. So we're going to repeat that across. So jumping back to the beginning of the repeat, we have an open square, which is a single crochet, a circle, which is a chain 2, skip 1, and then 5 more squares. So 5 more single crochets. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to repeat that across one more time together. We've got an open square, so single crochet 1. We've got a circle, so that's chain 2 and skip 1, and 5 more boxes. So 5 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meet me at the end of the row. We'll turn and do the next row together. So I'm now at the end of my row. After completing my last repeat, I do have 1 stitch left. Just keep in mind that each row starts and ends with a single crochet before we do the repeat. So this is the last single crochet of the row, just like that. So here's what it looks like. Not a whole lot to see just yet, but those strategically placed chain spaces will be very important moving forward. Don't you worry. Let's move on to row 4. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We always start the row with a single crochet. That's before the repeat. Now, if we get into the repeat, I am right-handed, so I'm now working row 4 from left to right on the chart. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open boxes. So I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, I have a circle. So I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to skip this chain space here. Okay, and it's followed by 1 open box. So I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. And that's the repeat across. So single crochet 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2 and skip the space because our next spot has a circle, and then the following spot is an open box, so a single crochet 1. One more time together, make sure you're following your chart. We've got 5 open boxes to start, so we're going to single crochet 5. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next box has a circle, so we're going to chain 2, skip the space. Next box is open, so we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. I've got one more repeat, so let's just go ahead and take it together. Single crochet each of the next 5 because we've got 5 open boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next box is open, so we're going to chain 2 and skip 1, single in the next stitch. Now I'm at the end of my row, and each row ends with a single crochet. We also have completed 2 rows with our new color, so we're going to change color here. So I'm going to pull up a loop in that stitch, 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to drop this color, and I'm going to pull up the other color. So I'm going to give it just a little tightening to close up this hole right here, but not too tight, and then I'm going to pull it through, and now I'm ready to work with my A color. So let's move on to row 5. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now row 5, as all of our rows, starts with a single crochet. So let's get into the repeat for row 5. It starts with a circle, so we're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip this stitch just below it. Now the next stitch is an X, and that is a double crochet that we're going to put into the skip stitch 3 rows below. So here's 1 row below, 2 rows below, and here is the skip stitch 3 rows below. You seeing that? right here. So we'll want to double crochet in here, making sure we catch both of these loops. So watch me first and then we can do it together. I'm going to yarn over first. I'm going to grab those 2 loops and bring my hook back to the front of the work. I'm not going into the back of the work. I'm coming right here into the front of the work. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 final loops. So that's what that looks like. We've now created a double crochet that goes in the front of the 2 rows below it. Alrighty, so that was the X. That's what the X means. So our next stitch is a circle. So we're going to chain 2 and we're skipping the stitch just to the left of these chain spaces. So here are the chain spaces, our double went in front of those. So we're skipping those and we're now skipping this stitch here because our box had a circle in it. So now for the remainder of the repeat, we have 4 open boxes. So we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wonderful. So that's what it looks like. We had the single we started with, and then we have a chain 2, skip 1, a double crochet, a chain 2, skip 1, and 4 singles. So let's do that repeat again. So we've got a circle in the next square. We're chaining 2 and skipping the stitch. We've got an X in the following square. So we're going to count down 1, 2, 3 to this skip stitch 3 rows below. Yarn over, pull up a loop in that stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. Next stitch is a circle. So we chain 2 and skip this stitch here. And now we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's finish up with these this row together. So we have a circle to start our repeat. So we're skipping this one, chain 2, skipping this stitch here, and then we have an X next. So we've got our chain spaces, which we're going to skip all of those and go down into that double or that single crochet that we skipped. So yarn over first, insert into that stitch, make sure you grab both of those loops, yarn over the hook and pull up the loop. Always working there on the front side of the fabric and complete the double crochet. Chain 2, skip 1. I always double check where my chain spaces are, so I'm skipping the correct single crochet. It's right here. And then we'll single in the next 4. 1, 2, here's 3, and 4. I've got one more repeat to go. I'm gonna chain 2 to start, skipping the single right below it. Next, I'm gonna double crochet in this single right here, this skip single crochet. So yarn over, pulling up the loop, keeping the hook to the front of the work, yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over through 2, and 2 again. Our next stitch is a circle. So we're going to skip this stitch after we chain 2 and single in each of the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then as always, our row ends with a single crochet. Wonderful. So that completes row 5. Just make sure you tick off the boxes. Use a highlighter, a post-it note. You can put this onto a tablet and, jot notes in there, but you definitely want to keep good track of where you are to make sure that this whole pattern lines up. Okay, let's move on to row 6. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and this time we're working from left to right since row 6 is on the wrong side of our work. So row 6 and all rows starts with a single crochet before we get into the repeat. Then the repeat starts with 4 open boxes. So we're going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our next stitch is a circle. So we're going to chain 2 and skip this space right underneath it. Our next box is open. So we're going to single the next stitch. And then our next box is a circle. So we're going to chain 2 and skip the space. So that's the repeat this time. Single crochet in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Our next box is a circle, chain 2, skip the space. Next box is open, so single in the next stitch, Next box is a circle, chain 2, skip the space. Let's keep going. Single 4, because each of our next 4 boxes is open. There's 3 and 4. Next box is a circle, chain 2, and leave that, skip that space. Next box is open, so we're going to single in the stitch. Next box is a circle, so we chain 2 and skip the space. So our next 4 boxes are open, so we'll single crochet in the next 4. Here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next box is a circle, so we'll chain 2, skip the space. Next box is open, so we'll single in the next stitch. Next box is a circle, so we'll chain 2 and skip the space. We always end with a single crochet, so we'll place one here, and we also need to change color. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, and pull up the loop. I'm going to bring this to the back, or to the front rather, and I'm also going to bring this color this way and pull through. Now I'll chain 1 and turn my work. So now we're moving on to row 7. We've got our chain 1, we'll single in the first stitch as always. So now here in row 7, our next stitch is a double crochet immediately. So we've got these 2 chain spaces, which we'll skip both of those, and we'll place a double in the stitch below. So yarn over, we're going to grab that stitch, making sure we've got both loops of it, and bring our hook back to the front of the work. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. Beautiful. That's followed with a circle, so we're going to chain 2 and skip the next stitch, which is right here. After that, we have another double crochet, so we've got these 2 spaces. Here's our skip stitch, so we're going directly in there. So skipping this here, and we're going to double crochet in this skip stitch. Pulling those loops to the front, yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and 2 again. Wonderful. Our next 3 boxes are open, so we'll single in each of the next 3, starting right here. There's 1, 2, and 3. And the next box has a circle, so we're going to chain 2 and skip this stitch. So now we're going to start the repeat again. So the next stitch is a double, so we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop in the skip stitch 3 rows below, and complete the double crochet. That's followed with a circle, so chain 2, skip the stitch, which is followed with an X. So we're skipping the stitch here, and we're going to place a double in this skip stitch down here. Just like that. Now we have 3 open boxes, so 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, followed by a circle. So that is a chain 2 and skip the stitch. Jumping back to the beginning of the repeat again, we have first a double crochet in the skip stitch 3 rows below. We have a circle, so we're chaining 2, skipping 1, and then an X, which is double crochet in the skip stitch 3 rows below. I think you're getting the hang of it. Single in each of the next 3. There's 1, here's 2, and 3. Finish the repeat with a circle, which is a chain 2, skip the stitch. So we've got an X, so we'll double crochet in this stitch. An O, so we'll chain 2 and skip 1. Another X, so we'll double crochet in this stitch. And then single in each of the next 3. There's 1, here's 2, and 3. Next stitch is a circle, don't miss that. So we chain 2, skip this stitch here, and then we're going to single in the last stitch because we always single in the last stitch of our rows. So that's what it should look like now after row 7. Let's move on to row 8. We're going to chain 1, turn our work, and row 8 starts with a single crochet. And then we have a circle, chain 2, skip the chain space. Then we're going to single in each of the next 4 because we have 4 open boxes. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just open up your work if you're having trouble finding that stitch because that was a double crochet from the previous row. So now we have a circle. We'll chain 2, skip the space, and then we have a single after that to end the repeat. Okay, let's do it again together. So the repeat starts with a chain 2 and skip, single in each of the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we have a circle, so we're going to chain 2, skip the space, and we end the repeat with a single. Never looks like much from the back, but that's what it'll look like. Couple more repeats together. We're starting the repeat with a circle, chain 2, skip the space, single in each of the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. A circle, chain 2 and skip the space, end the repeat with a single crochet. One more repeat on my sample here. We start with a circle, so chain 2 and skip the space, single 4, 1, 2, here's 3, and 4. Now we've got a circle, chain 2, skip the space, and that repeat ends with a single crochet. And the row ends with a single crochet and changing color. Just like that. So here's what it looks like from the front after row 8. So we have 14 total rows in our first repeat of the pattern. I would like you to complete up to the end of those 14 rows. We're going to jump into row 15 together. Okay, friends, I just completed row 14, and as you can see, this completes the first motif on our towel here. I just think it is so cool how this all comes together, and I hope you were able to see the progression as you worked on your sample as well. So now moving into row 15, that is going to essentially give us a mirrored version of our original motif, and we're also changing colors here. So before we were working with colors A and B, now in this section we're working with colors B and C. The color that was our picture before is now going to become our background. The first thing we need to do before starting row 15 is fasten off our old color. So here we fastened off the cream before we moved on to the next section. Here I need to fasten off this brown. So my A color, the color I started the work with. So first things first, I'm going to fasten off this brown, leaving a long enough tail because I just need to finish the last couple stitches on this row before I change color. So first things first, I'm going to finish up this last single crochet. I'm going to pull that and pull up that B color. Now rows 15 and 16 are just single crocheting all the way across. So we start with a chain 1, single in the first stitch. This next stitch would start our repeat, but again, all of the repeats are just single crochet across. So this is going to create a transition essentially from the first section into our second section. So complete 2 rows with your B color and join me back here. We'll change to our C color and then jump back into our chart. I'm just finishing up row 16 here, just a few more single crochets, and then of course I need to change color. So I'm going to pull up a loop in that last stitch. I've got 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to drop that old color and grab my new color, which is this lovely pink from my sample, and pull through. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and at this point I'm jumping right back into my chart. So let's do a row together just as a quick little refresher. So row 17 starts with a single crochet as always. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 open boxes. So 5 single crochets. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We've got a circle after that, chain 2, and we're skipping the next single crochet, and we end the repeat with an open box, which is a single crochet. So there's our repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, chain 1, or chain 2 rather, skip 1, single in the next. Let's keep going. Single in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next we have a circle, chain 2, skip 1, single in the next. One more repeat for me. So that's single 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, circle in the next box, which is chain 2, skip 1, and an open box is next, so we single in the next, and then single in the last to end the row. So I think you've pretty much got the gist of it, so I would like you to continue up through the pattern, completing all of the chart rows. So by the end of your chart, you should have 98 total rows. So just as a quick frame of reference, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total sections. So I would like you to complete all of the pattern rows. I would like you to complete all of our pattern rows, so all 7 sections that include our color changes. That would be the entirety of step 2 in our pattern. After that, step 3 is to weave in all your ends, and then join me here for step 4, where we'll make the border together. All of my ends are weaved in, and I've completed all the sections I planned for my piece, and I do have to say she is looking mighty fine. Okay, so I have weaved in those ends, and I changed to the color I plan to use for my border, which I'm going to be using this cream because it's got a really nice contrast, but you'll have plenty of all of your colors left over, so you're welcome to use whichever color you like the most. So I did my chain 1, and now I'm going to turn my work, and I need to half double crochet in each stitch across. So across this top edge here. So for my half double crochet, let me just tighten that down. I'm going to yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. I now have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And we're going to do that for each stitch across. And when you do these border stitches, the right side of your work should be facing at all times. So half double crochet in each stitch across, and join me when you get to the end of your row. I made it to the end of my row. I have 2 more stitches I need to work into, 1 and 2, just like that. And now I'm going to chain 2 before I rotate to work along my row ends. So we need to work into each of our stitches down this way. So just remember that for each of your colors, there are actually 2 rows, not 1 row. So I'm going to yarn over and half double crochet in that first pink row end, and then in the next pink row end. Then I need to place 2 half double crochets for this brown, 2 half double crochets for the pink, 2 half double crochets for the brown. And what that's going to do is just neaten up that edge there, make everything nice and clean. That's what borders are for. So that's what we're doing here. So continue that all the way down the edge. When you get to this corner, we're going to chain 2 and half double crochet in each of our chain stitches here at the bottom. And then we're going to chain 2 and rotate to work along this row end. I'd like you to join me when you're ready for this row end, because I'm going to make sure you know how to grab these floats so we can hide those as well. I've now completed my half double crochet stitches along the bottom of my work, and I'm ready to work up the side. Now the important part here is catching these floats, all these little lengths of yarn that are sitting on the front, because we just don't want to see those. We want that nice polished look. So here's how we achieve that. I've made my 2 chains, and now I need to put 2 half double crochets around this length of brown stitching here. So I'm going to put 1 here. And now I'm going to catch this brown float, and by that I'm going to insert my hook under that length of brown and into the fabric below it and complete the half double crochet. Now I need to put 2 half double crochet in this length of white stitching. I've got a float here and I've got a float here. So let's first catch this brown float by going underneath that length of brown yarn and into the fabric below. For 1, and now we're going to catch this white float going underneath that length of yarn and into the fabric below. So now we have a nice clean edge here, and we can't see those floats anymore. Let's do a couple more together. So we've got brown stitching here that needs 2 half doubles, so going underneath this cream yarn. There's 1 and 2. Now we need 2 over this white stitching, so we're grabbing 1 and 2. So catching our floats all the way down, evenly placing our half double crochets, putting 1 in the end of each row. So since there are 2 rows of stitching for each color, we'll get 2 stitches across those row ends. Make sense? 2 half double crochet here. Now we're moving into this pink section. Nothing changes. Each section of coloring needs 2 stitches, and we're going to catch our floats as we go. Look at that. Gorgeous. How night and day of a difference is that from this to this, right? So continue up the side of the work until you get here to this last corner. We'll finish up together and then we'll do the second round of our border. I've made it up to the first stitch of my round. I'm going to chain 2 and slip stitch into that first half double crochet, just right into the top, just like that. Okay, so that completes that first round of our border. Let's move on to round 2. So to start this round, I'm going to chain 1, and then I need to place a slip stitch in the third loop of each of my stitches until I get to the next chain 2 space. So the next chain 2 space is here. So I'm going to bring you a little bit closer so we can find that third loop together. So I'm going to grab a half double crochet from the middle of the row, so like right here, right? So if we look at the horizontal bars going on here, we have a front loop and a back loop, just like all stitches have. But if I rotate it a little towards me, I have a third horizontal loop sitting right behind that back loop. Front loop, back loop, third loop. We'll be working in this third loop for all of our stitches for this entire round. So let's go. So we've done our chain 1. Now, for this very first stitch, we're going to rotate it towards us and find that third loop, which is right here. We're going to insert, yarn over, pull up the loop, and through the remaining loop on the hook, just like that. And we're going to do that for each stitch across. Keeping rather loose tension helps a lot with this. And then rotating the work almost completely towards you, just bending the whole thing towards you to be able to easily find those third loops helps a lot. It makes this way, way easier than trying to keep the front of the work facing towards you. So just bend it forward and grab those third loops, and we're going to work this all the way across until we get to our next chain 2 space. Okay, great. We've made it over to our chain 2 space. We placed a slip stitch in our last stitch. And what this does is kind of give us a stacked set of single crochets here, and I think it just adds a really nice thickness and a great touch to the border. So now we're at our chain 2 space, and what we're meant to do here is to single crochet and then chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then single crochet back into that chain 2 space, just like that. And what that does is create a hanging loop here in the corner of the work. On your fabric, it'll look like this. Just a nice little hanging loop. So if you want to hang that from a hook in your home, you can. Okay. Now we're going to continue on down the side. And we're going to jump right back into our slip stitching into the third loop. So I've got the front loop, back loop, third loop of my stitch is right here. Insert, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert, yarn over, pull through both, all the way down until we get to the next chain 2 space. Lovely. So I think you've got the hang of that. Great. So now I want you to continue to work your slip stitches in the third loop down to this next corner. When you reach this chain 2 space, just put a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet here. So here we put 8 because we were making a hanging loop, but we're done with the hanging loops. So instead of chain 8, it's just chain 2. So it's single, chain 2, single here. Slip stitch in the third loop all the way across to this chain 2 space. Single, chain 2, single here. Slip stitch third loop all the way across here. Once you reach this chain 2 space, which is our last corner before the start of the round, join me here and we'll finish up together. I am just about done with this round of the border. Just a few more stitches to go. I think I got them all. And now I'm at the chain 2 space. So in the chain 2 space, I'm going to put a single crochet, a chain 2, and a single crochet. And now we need to join our work because we are now done, but I don't want to join with just a slip stitch because it's going to be really obvious. Instead, we're going to join with an invisible slip stitch. And let me show you how that's done. So we're not even going to slip stitch here. Instead, we're going to fasten off our work, leaving a tail long enough to weave in later. And then we're going to pull that loop up and out of our work. We're then going to put that tail onto a tapestry needle, just like that. Now I'm going to bring you a little closer so you can really get up in my business. So here's what we're looking for. These front loops were from the half double crochet. These back loops back here were from the slip stitches. So we are going to skip this tiny little slip stitch here, and we're going to grab this taller slip stitch. So we're going to go 2 stitches in, We're going to insert under both loops of that second slip stitch, pull through, and then we're going to insert through the back loop of the last single crochet that we created, just like this. And it creates an invisible join. You really can't tell where that stitch starts because all of them have little V's on the top. Lovely. Now we can flip this to the back, weave in this end, and then we can weave in this end as well. It's all right for these to go in the same direction. It's fine. You'll probably weave in your ends a little bit better than me, but honey, mama's ready to be done. So let's snip off these last ends and then do the big reveal. And just like that, we are done with our stitching. So we have these lovely corners and a nice thick creamy gorgeous border. I love the border on this because it looks a bit like an I-cord, but like a faux I-cord in crochet, which I think is great. And this little hanging loop is going to make this great for displaying or just keeping in your kitchen, bathroom, wherever you plan to use this. Now the very last step, and I wouldn't skip this, is to block this piece. As you can see, we've got some lumps and bumps going on here. This is curling, this is curling, this is curling. This will help a whole lot. So I would recommend steam blocking this into its final shape. And it's just a rectangle, so it's really easy. You'll just want to pin each of the sides into the shape that you want, and then use your steamer, garment steamer, or an iron and steam this whole piece. Just make sure that the plate of the steamer or the plate of the iron doesn't touch your stitches because it'll flatten it out and then they'll lose all their dimension and prettiness. And we don't want that. After you're done blocking your piece, you'll want to let it dry completely, remove the pins, and your towel will be ready to use. I hope you really enjoyed making this piece. I am super duper proud of you because this is probably a new technique for a lot of us. But you totally crushed it. I can tell, I can feel it on the inside. Thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.